Hey, how's it going, everybody? If you're new here, welcome in. And if you've been here before, smash the like button on the way in. I'm Rollshambo, the connoisseur and collector of all things sharp and shiny. And you might be ready to talk about not one, but two, count them, two brand new model releases from Vosteed. One of them is a model that you're familiar with, but with a brand new blade shape, and the other one is a knife that is currently taking the community by storm. I am a gigantic fan of what Vosteed has been doing in recent years, and these are both knives I am super excited to talk about. First of all, thank you to Vosteed for sending me one of these knives. The other one I purchased because I couldn't help it, and because it was such a good deal, I had to have it. So let's go ahead and start talking about the two brand new top liner lock releases from Vosteed. Now, I'm not going to make you wait too long because this is what a lot of people are coming here to talk about. This is the brand new release, the Vosteed Porcupine. And just a heads up, these are in fact exclusively available on Amazon right now. I'll make sure to link to them in the description down below in case you want to check it out. And it costs $70. So what does your hard-earned $70 hairs get you? Well, on this one, we've got an overall length of 7.2 inches. So it's somewhere between the perfect EDC size and the perfect full-size knife size. And that's great. You're going to have plenty of options, different colors, and your preference of either micarta or G10 handle scales. They've changed up the pivots on these. You'll notice that these do not necessarily look like the same old pivot, and I've got to be honest, it's kind of got a jeweler's flair to it. I actually really like that. The blade itself is a drop point blade, but it's not quite the same as what we saw with the Vosteed Psyop. It's also not quite what we saw with the Vosteed Acorn. It's somewhere in between the two, believe it or not. The blade itself is 2.99 inches long, so if you've got a 3-inch carry law in your area, bang, this one's going to do you just fine. 2.99, close enough for government work. The action on here is, of course, running on ceramic bearings, utilizing this button, and of course a traditional detent because it's not a plunge lock button. No, this is the top liner lock, which means that it is a compression lock that is actuated by a button. Now, the compression lock itself is Spyderco's initial design, and then Kevin Smock actually perfected it by utilizing a button to actuate it. But we've all begged and pleaded with Spyderco to do more of the button-operated compressions, and they just didn't. But Vosteed has definitely come in and done that, and it turned out really, really good. I love this single-sided captive pivot. I love the relief cutout around that button, which means that you can press this all the way down for some really good action. On this knife, we've got perfect blade centering, which looks good. We've got, perfect lockout, which looks good. The action is very, very nice. And because you're actuating it with this button operated compression lock, your fingers are always safe. Now, good news for you lefties out there. Check this guy out. We've got a reversible pocket clip. Now, on this one, this is, of course, a wire clip. And I know some of you guys are like me and you're already saying to yourself, I don't like wire clips. The good news is that I have already tested out my Rips Garage Tech clip just to test. And yes, the Rips Garage Tech clip will in fact fit. If you want something a little less expensive than what you can get from Rips Garage Tech, that means that the Lynch Northwest Spyderco wire clip replacement will also work. Something that we're not used to seeing on a bunch of the lower cost Vosteeds is T8 hardware, but check it out. There it is, fellas. T8 hardware all the way around. The body screws are T8, the pivot is T8. And we've got this lanyard hole right here, rather a lanyard tube, which with this specific combination kind of reminds me of the same color scheme we had going on with the Vosteed Acorn. Yeah. Looks a little familiar, right? But not quite the same. That's actually pretty cool. And because we've got the body screws back here next to that lanyard tube, it actually gives you the same kind of protection for your blade's edge that you'd get out of a backspacer. Now, I've been showing this off, and you might be wondering, what's up with Porcupine? Did they just pick a name and decide that was good enough? No, in fact, there is a reason for this. We've got jimping here. We've got jimping here. We've got jimping here. We've got jimping here. We've got jimping everywhere. We've got jimping on this 50-50 finger choil. And yeah, that's a 50-50 finger choil. I'll tell you what, this feels really, really good in the hands. Maybe it's this micarta, I don't really know, but the ergos on here are perfect. Reverse grip, also rather good. Now, on this knife, 7.2 inches. Some of you fellas with the larger hands might be wondering, well, I mean, is it going to fit my hands? Every time you see a design that has this 50-50 finger choil for an advanced choke up grip, you always have a much greater opportunity to get a full 4-finger grip. So in a choked up position, my medium to large size men's hands get plenty of real estate right there. And I also like the jimping on the spine right next to the tip, because that means I can advance my thumb and get ultimate control in my cutting movements. Speaking of cutting movements, if you want to see me go through some cardboard with this bad boy, make sure to hang around, because we will be doing a cut test. As far as everything else is concerned, at $70 you get 14 C28N, you get micarta or G10, single-sided captive pivot, the Vosteed top liner lock, extra jimping for perfect control any way you grip this knife, and plenty of real estate to get the job done without the knife being overbearing. This is, in my opinion, an instant classic. Some people might be saying, well, why wouldn't I just get a Vosteed Raccoon? Because the Raccoon has all of that, right? Well, not quite. And you know what would be a good comparison? The second knife, which I wanted to show you today. This is the brand new Vosteed Raccoon top liner lock with the Bowie blade. This is the third Raccoon that I've got on the channel, and I gotta say, I actually rather like collecting them. This one is awesome, and when I saw this, I knew I had to show this off to the people, because Bowie style blades are in fact one of my favorite. I've already reviewed the top liner lock Raccoon when I reviewed this guy, and if you want to see the details, the nitty-gritty details, I will make sure, of course, to link to that up in the corner above. However, I wanted to mention this one because it feels really good. The G10 handle scales, specifically on the Bowie style Raccoon, are really nice. For some reason, the action feels a lot crisper. I get perfect build up on that thumb stud deployment, and I really like the pop of color there. I know many people were wanting one with the rose gold blade, and they did actually release that. I don't know if these are all sold out at the moment, but I will make sure to link to these in the description down below as well. I just had to show this off because this is in fact one of my favorite blade shapes, if not my favorite blade shape that has been released on the Vosteed Raccoon to date, and I would love to see a premium version of this. Give it to us in titanium or carbon fiber with an LMAX blade, and please, 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 if we do a premium version, can we also get a backspacer? Other than that, this knife is wonderful, and I've had a hard time choosing between the two. Which do I carry in my pocket? You know what? Whatever. I'll just throw in both because these are both very carry friendly. I wanted to show both of these knives in the video because I know that some people might be asking the question, well, I mean, which should I get? Should I get the Raccoon or should I get the Porcupine? And I'm going to tell you right now that you can't go wrong with either of these. But if you're looking at the Porcupine and wishing that it was just a little bit bigger, the Raccoon might in fact be the better option. However, I will say this, the Porcupine has extremely good ergonomics, especially with this advanced forward finger choil, and the action feels different. I don't know why or how, but the action feels much smoother on the Porcupine than it does on the Raccoon. And that's not to say that I dislike the action on the Raccoon. I actually really like it. The blade is a bit longer, which gives it a longer throw, and it's going to be a bit more of a guillotine on the come down. But it is a really cool comparison because you can see the changes that they made on their format. You see the small pivot here on the Raccoon versus the larger pivot with the pivot collar here on the Porcupine. You see the jeweled button on the Porcupine versus more of like the Trek lock style button that we get on the Raccoon. And yes, the Raccoon is 10 times more aggressive. And they both have, of course, the reversible pocket clips, but as you can see on the Raccoon, you actually get their traditional stamped deep carry clip. Now on this one, I'm not the biggest fan of super shiny clips, but we'll let it fly for now because this aesthetic is absolutely killer. Now I've been drooling over these and you might be wondering, great, let's get down to brass tacks. Let's see how both of these knives cut. Starting off with the Porcupine, and just a heads up, yes, both the Raccoon and the Porcupine feature a flat ground blade. Neither of them are hollow ground. That's a-okay because as long as the blade and edge geometry were done well, they should still be extremely slicey. And let's see just how well the Porcupine performs. Yeah, that is a really good factory edge, guys. And the 14C does not disappoint at all. Look at this. We've got the multiple ply carbon fiber. Yeah, and it goes through it in every single direction. This feels like it will continue cutting for forever. Next up, let's go ahead and check out the factory edge and cutting geometry on the Bowie style Raccoon. Here we go. Oh yeah. Yeah, that feels good. It does feel like the Raccoon might actually be a little bit thicker behind the edge, but not by a whole lot. Yeah, it's adequate. It will 100% get the job done. Now, I'm not trying to say that you should buy one of these new top liner lock Vosteeds over the other. I think that they're both great and at excellent price points under $100. They're both really good carry options. I really enjoy both of these, and in the last couple of days, both of them have found their way into my pocket. The Porcupine does feel like an advancement in their design language and also really listening to user feedback. Guys, there's a reason why so many people were excited for this knife. And no, it's not just because some of you tend to think that this looks a little bit like an Oz Machine Company Roosevelt or the Vosteed Acorn. This guy is just really well done. Everything feels mature, it feels well thought out, and it's very high quality. When I'm looking at a budget knife under $100 with less expensive materials like 14C, wire clip, and micarta handle skills, what I'm looking for is the attention to detail. I'm looking for things like, how good is it? How badly do I want to carry this knife? And is it going to carry the day when you need to get some cutting tasks done? The answer is unequivocally yes. Vosteed absolutely killed it. And while I would love to have a full backspacer right here in the back, I actually really do kind of like the fact that they stacked both the barrel spacers and the lanyard tube. And I gotta say, I've extremely enjoyed carrying this knife. I really dig it. And just like with the Raccoon top liner lock, I'm going to say right now, we need a premium version. Please, 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 Vosteed, hook it up with the carbon fiber and the L-Max blade steel. Yeah, and then I'll be a happy boy. All around, for $70, I think that they've got a winner on both sides. But let me know what your thoughts are. Would you like to see me do a comparison video between, for example, the Raccoon Bowie versus maybe, I don't know, the CJRB Bowie Pyrite? Because I already know that some people are already drawing some comparisons. Or would you like to see some more content on the Vosteed Porcupine? Let me know in the comment section down below, guys. If you watch this far and you enjoy the content and you haven't done so yet, please consider hitting that subscribe button that's about to pop up in the corner. But if you just want to watch some more awesome knife and EDC content, go ahead and click on one of the videos that pops up next.